FoodShare, and you're going to talk to us about
Bendigo FoodShare.
Bendigo FoodShare. Oh, that was excellent. Right, I'll just flip over the slides.
Thank you. This presentation is a presentation that's been used as a fundraiser, so at the end it talks about giving us money. FoodShare exists because we know that we live in a land of plenty. We can produce way more food than our population can eat, but still there are people that live in food poverty. In fact, 1 in 7 people on the planet lives in food poverty. We produce enough food for 60 million. Still people are living in food poverty. In our own community, 1 in 11 families can't afford to give their family healthy food each week. And each school has a breakfast program for kids that come to school hungry. And I have to tell you a story here about, it was reported by a teacher, a little boy who came to school every Monday morning absolutely starving and would regularly eat half a loaf of bread made into toast and Vegemite. And the teacher said to him one day, "Wow, you've got a really good appetite. What's your favourite food?" And he said, "Oh, the thing I love best is sav soup." And the teacher said, "Oh, sav soup, I've never heard of that. How do you make that?" And he said, "We have it every Friday night. Mum and Dad go and buy sav in a roll. They come home, put the sav in a saucepan, cook it up, and then they eat the sav and we eat the soup. It's delicious." And you think, what is he eating there? Water and salt. So he doesn't even know he's living in food poverty, of course. And everybody will know these statistics, and they're mostly related to your ability to earn an income. Women generally earn less than men, so they're in more danger of food poverty. I won't read them out, but I'm sure you all know those. The other thing that FoodShare is quite passionate about is rescuing food that goes to waste, because all of the food that FoodShare has is food that is destined for waste. So we distribute it throughout quite a large area in Victoria, right up to Echuca, across to Avoca, down to Kyneton, and to a whole lot of schools, that run cooking programs, and in particular breakfast programs. We give to charities and community groups, usually community houses that run not cooking programs, but they provide meals. And we see food as a great kind of enabler. I can tell you a story from St Laborious that have food from FoodShare to run a breakfast program and a lunch program a couple of times a week. And their innovative lady cook didn't want to waste any leftover food, so she started cooking extra meals to give to families that she knew were hungry. And some of those parents came into school and said, "Oh, actually, how did you make that? It was delicious." And she said, "Well, come on in, I'll show you how to cook." So they've now got this fantastic social grouping going on where they're teaching people to cook using the food from FoodShare, and they're helping to feed families that can't afford to eat healthy food. In Bendigo, so when you collectively take up how many people are assisted, there's 8,800 people every week that get food through FoodShare. So some of those other charity groups make it into food packages to give to people that are in need. FoodShare runs on a shoestring. We rent a very large warehouse in Havilah Road. Part of it is a cool store and part of it is a freezer. It costs about $100,000 to run FoodShare because we have to pay all the ongoing costs associated with the rental and the huge power bill, as you can imagine. We've just had solar panels installed to hopefully offset that power bill. And we only employ 2 part-time people, and the rest of the work of FoodShare is done by volunteers. And it's not funded by the government. It's run entirely by donations. We get food from Food Bank, which is funded by the government, but we don't receive any funding at all. And over the year, we calculate that we rescue 6,332 tonnes of food that would go to into landfill. So when you think about the effort that's gone into the production of that food, one of the mathematicians on the board has done all this work. He reckons it prevents 78,000 kilolitres of water being wasted through that food not being used. Yes, so the community groups that we work with, they're community houses that prepare meals, and the other community groups are mostly charitable organisations that prepare food packages for people, and we like to work really closely with them. So if, for example, they offer a financial counselling service, they can get people in for, you know, a 3-month financial counselling service, and they say to them, okay, you can get free food from us, and that will save you the money so that you can pay off those bills that you've got. So we are increasingly trying to do that so that the food becomes an incentive for people to make some changes in their life to enable them to live in a more kind of sustainable way. So we see that as really important. And we figure that for every dollar that's donated, we can provide 16 meals. So every dollar goes to provide meals for 16 people, so it's pretty good value for money. And it's not just, you know, for people in crisis, although there are plenty of those people. There's another story about a woman, one of our people were collecting, and a woman came to give a $5 donation, and she said, I really feel like I'm doing this as payback, because she is a single parent, her child developed leukemia, she had to give up her job, so then she was on a miserable Centrelink benefit and paying petrol to take a child backwards and forwards to Melbourne. And she obviously had no money, so she used FoodShare for that period in her life, and she wanted to pay back. So they're the kinds of people that use FoodShare, and I'm sorry there's only 1 minute for questions. So any questions? We hope there'll be some dollars.
So this isn't funded by government. I find that extraordinary.
No, it's not.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. Food Bank, you know, the agencies, Food Bank, Second Bite, Oz Harvest, they're all funded by the government. And Food Bank, I think, well, we get food from all of them, which obviously we don't pay for. And they pay for the transport for it to Bendigo as well, but we don't get any direct funding from the government. So we really exist on donations and philanthropic grants. So, yes, yeah, yes, it is, yeah.
Helen, do you rescue food locally?
Yes, 50% of the food is rescued locally, and 50% we get from those other agencies. So we have great relationships with Hazeldene's, the supermarkets, Tip Top Bakery, and some smaller places as well. One of the constant challenges is to get food that is still going to waste, and is often processed, prepared food, but the logistics of how you would kind of get that and get it to people immediately, we haven't figured that out. So when you can't sleep at night, you might like to think about how we could do that, because the kind of people, you know, that need it don't have email or mobile phones. So that would please us greatly if we could get caterers, you know, involved in somehow or other giving us their food, and then we could magically get it to where it needed to go.
And are you contained by your facilities? You might be limited.
No, the shed we could have double as much.
Yeah.
And Jen Alden's going to talk next. We're teaming up with Jen's group, Grow, the Bendigo Regional Food Alliance, because they've got a big project to teach people how to cook. So we are totally committed to providing food to those groups, because we see that as being one of the really essential things, because we know that sometimes when people are given food packages, they take out all the fresh vegetables and say, we don't want those. We don't know how to cook them. Give us frozen chips. We don't want a bag of potatoes. So encouraging people not only to learn to cook, but to understand that that kind of food is way healthier than a bag of frozen chips, that would please us immensely too. So we're really happy to be joining up with them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've got